Look who's here. Don't worry, John will be back. I'm Sharon Reed. In for John on the damage report.
This is bad. Okay, now it's good. No.
Jackson White is with us today. Jackson,
Yes.
Tell people, I know where to find you. I follow you very closely. I listen to the podcast. Anything you do, I support. For those who are interested in finding you, and who wouldn't be, remind us.
Oh, that's so nice. Yes, you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/@politicsandpaper. Actually, the other day I interviewed a state candidate out of Washington. She's running on a disability rights platform and labor, and I'm gonna be doing a whole lot more of that. So check me out at Politics and Paper on YouTube. And it's good to be here. I got the email literally a few hours ago, basically at night. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So, and I'm on here with you. So let's make it happen.
You're always ready, always informed. Don't let the good looks fool you. Ready to go.
Yes,
and Jackson is too. Okay. Look, a lot on the show today. We got breaking news. Apparently Trump doesn't have as much money as he says he does. Marjorie Taylor Greene, perhaps vying for the most prolific fictional writer of her time. She's off to a fantastic start. These are short stories, though. This is not long form. So we have a lot to get into. Let's start with the first one. If we can, he is a billionaire, yes?
John Jengaron says that he wants this $350 million within 30 days. Now, I know that you're planning on appealing this, but you've still got to put up the full amount pending that appeal. Does Donald Trump have that kind of money sitting around?
Yes. I mean, he does. Of course, he has money. You know, he's a billionaire.
Who can't pay? He's a billionaire who can't pay. This is the breaking news. Right before we came on the air, former President Donald Trump can't find an insurance company to underwrite his bond to cover the massive judgment against him in New York Attorney General's civil fraud case. His lawyers telling a New York appeals court, CNN with the details here, Trump's attorneys say he has approached 30 underwriters who apparently know better. He's asked them to back the bond, which is due by the end of the month. According to his lawyers, the amount of the judgment with interest exceeds $464 million. Very few bonding companies will consider a bond of anything approaching that magnitude. Again, this is from Trump's lawyers. Now, you would think that when you are a billionaire with, I think they said $14 billion. I could be wrong. It's a lot of money, yes, but you have that, probably liquid. Don't you think Jeff Bezos has it? Okay, maybe. Potential underwriters are seeking cash to back the bond, not properties, according to Trump's lawyers. And of course, they want money. His properties are ever decreasing in value. Here's the report. Trump branded New York City real estate plummeted in value since 2016. What happened in 2016 that would have affected that? Condos and buildings with Trump's name on them have plummeted in value, while the value of condos that remove the Trump logo shot up. So don't be so vain. Get your name off all of it, and perhaps you'll do better financially. Trump's lawyers have asked the appeals court to delay posting the bond until his appeal of the case is over. But if they don't, you better find the money because Attorney General James is not messing around. Okay, when you look at her and then listen to her talk, remember, art of the steal. Remember how she said it? As if, she was trained by, I don't know. Who's the most famous Hollywood actress out there right now?
G.I. Jane.
Okay. What now, Jackson?
G.I. Jane. She was trained by G.I. Jane. That's
okay, perhaps, but she delivered the lines. And I want to know how you feel about this. He's apparently trying to haggle or negotiate with the court. And I don't really see why we would expect anything different, Jackson, because when you've grown up with enormous privilege, you've never been held to account, including when you sent people storming the Capitol, defecating and rifling through Nancy Pelosi's mail. Why stop now? I mean, I assure you, they would take everything. What do you have in your unit there? Okay, they take everything from you. If that judgment were against you, you wouldn't need, they'd cut your hair and they'd sell that too. It's long, it's luscious, they'd sell it. Okay, nothing would be yours. So what do you make of this bold, well, it's really brazen attempt to tell the court, I don't have that. Here's what I'm going to give you.
I mean, well, I think you pointed it out just right. It's kind of what he's used to, and it's all he's got. You know, him becoming president has been nothing but a stream of embarrassment, endlessly so for him. Whether it be the revelation, not that nobody ever couldn't figure that he wasn't really worth as much money as he said he was, but it's been like the proof of it now. You know, people can see firsthand how much he's ripped off workers, and the full history of just his con artistry has been brought to light in ways that it otherwise wouldn't necessarily have been if he didn't take public office in the way that he did. But you know, like when it comes to his worth, you know, sometimes he's worth 6 billion, sometimes he's worth 10 billion. And at the end of the day, $464 million, that's a lot of money liquid. I don't care how much, you know, you're worth on paper, but when it comes to net worth, that can get tricky because what does it really mean? You know, like your net worth could be like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. Now, of course, they would have the liquidity, but their net worth can go down by $100 billion in one day because of what the stock market has going on. So a lot of it's imaginary anyway. But you know, this is the only move that Donald Trump has, but he still may end up becoming president despite that fact. So, you know, it's just I don't at the end of the day, it's crazy times we live in, I guess.
Yeah, it is. His favorite outlet, Fox, was able to pay their $787 million settlement. They paid. They had the liquid. I understand they're a huge entity, but he said that the Trump brand is as well. Okay. His son-in-law, Jared. I mean, if I had a son-in-law, daughter-in-law son-in-law got $2 billion from the Saudis, I might say, would you mind? Why can't that fund back him? Because it's all play money, right? He wasn't really qualified to run an entity like that, but he got $2 billion. So I'm just wondering also if the one person that can crumble his financial empire is that Black woman who says, look, man, and I'm just telling you what she said, Letitia James. She was born in the hood. Nothing affects her. She says she's going to take the properties next. Can she do it, or will America be America and never hold this derelict to account?
Well, I think that, you know, when you talk about how much he'll be held to account, we got to, you know, like, what does that mean? Does that mean that he's going to go to prison for the rest of his life? Maybe not. But I think that he's likely going to be forced to pay up in whatever way that he has to, just because the gavel's been struck. And two, like at the end of the day, Donald Trump, the real power that he has is his voting base. That's really what's keeping everybody in line. But outside of that, he doesn't have any real friends in high places. Everybody hates him. You know what I mean? So like, that's why nobody's really going to come to his rescue. People could cough up that money if they wanted to. His donor base they've made a GoFundMe for it, but he's kind of ran that well dry at this point. You know, they'll give money, but he's not going to be able to just string up $100 million in donations like that, how he could a few years ago. So,
well, but here's the thing, Jackson. I think his financial picture is so much worse than even his worst critics, accountants in the know, anyone understood. Because here's what I know about American companies. They love to risk it all by currying favor, even with an autocrat. They love to say, well, you know what, if he's going to be president again, this would go far, long, and help us out with what we need. They know that Trump would play ball in that regard. But they're still CEOs, they're still in charge, they still have people to answer to. So if they could scrape it together and do him another favor. I mean, he's been getting these kind of financial favors forever. I think they would do it. And so I think that tells us much more about Donald Trump's financial picture. It's shattered, despite what Abba, is it Haba or Abba? It's Haba.
Yes,
despite what Haba is telling people. We'll move on though, because there's more Trump to discuss, calling for another bloodbath.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
All right, so it falls under two categories, okay? It's like my daughter tells me if I don't take her to Sephora, she's going to stop speaking to me. And maybe she will, but she'll speak to me again. Sometimes, though, she gets more and more stubborn. And this impasse lasts longer and longer and longer. She means it, apparently. I am the worst mother in the world, okay? That's how some are framing this latest call for a bloodbath, if you want to say that it's a call. Trump facing more backlash after he said there will be a bloodbath for the country if he doesn't win the 2024 election. I wonder if Putin fed him that line. He brought this up while railing against electric vehicles. Here's what a spokesperson said. Biden's policies will create an economic bloodbath for the auto industry and auto workers. All right, really? That's what you want us to believe? Media with the comments there, the spokesperson, Caroline Levitt. Here's the full context. Look at that.
China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
All right, so this time he wasn't necessarily calling for people with bear spray and animal skins to storm the Capitol, put up a noose for the vice president, and defecate, and rummage again through Nancy Pelosi's mail. Instead, and we'll put up the tweet on X, fake news media and their Democratic partners in the destruction of our nation pretend to be shocked at my use of the word bloodbath, even though they fully understood that I was simply referring to imports allowed by crooked Joe Biden, which are killing the automobile industry. United Auto Workers, but not their leadership, fully understand what I mean. The electric car mandate being pushed by Biden, there soon won't be any cars made in the USA unless I'm elected president, in which case auto manufacturing will thrive like never before. And then he hits you with the updated MAGA hashtag. So he was only talking about cars this time, doesn't want the actual bloodbath. But he is, Jackson, the last person, right, who should use the word bloodbath?
Well, at this point, I don't even know why Trump bothers defending himself from stuff like this. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if that's what you meant, then just stand on it. But he just responds to criticism no matter what it is. Like he, for instance, like when he was criticizing Nikki Haley and talking about how far behind she was to him and just things that's just like, bro, you don't need to do that after she won DC. Like not even from a decorum perspective, but just more like, bro, you're 50 points ahead. You don't need to say this about it. And two, I mean, this is the guy who calls for a Muslim ban. If he's elected again, he's gonna put it back intact. The guy who came down the escalator saying that Mexico's sending over their worst January 6th, which happened, and then him, basically saying that it was called for and it was just fine. So this is just par for the course for Donald Trump. So I don't even know why he responded to it.
Yeah. He's said and done a lot, calling them hostages, those prosecuted for January 6th, the stupid choir, that choir of felons singing.
He always bragging about like, we got #1 on the charts.
Right. And I mean, you know what? This guy. But I want to put up this image because I'm going to tell you something. He did say there, the media being shocked, and you mentioned it too. I don't know why anyone's shocked by what he'll do next. Again, this time, bloodbath, in his view, was about the auto industry. But when you look at this and the headlines, these are the people that cover Trump's administration on a daily basis. They've covered him, the campaign, the trials, the 91 indictments. Well, do the math. I believe some were dismissed in Georgia, but it's just technicality. Okay. Now that they're out of DA Fani Willis's underpants, that will continue. That part of the case is over, that distraction. So it's going to continue. But this whole notion, Jackson, that the media is so stunned whenever he says something, and really, I think a lot of times he does it to command attention. What say you?
Yeah, he's very good at drawing attention. And, I think that at this point, he's beyond tested the waters. He knows that there aren't any real consequences for him, especially within his base, but among the wider Republican apparatus in general. So, yeah, I mean, he plays the media like a fiddle all the time, and he knows it. And, I guess the media wouldn't be able to just maybe promote some of what the Biden administration has done, because clearly these outlets don't want Donald Trump to win. They're pushing forth sensationalism, but they could basically, what I'm getting at is they could promote other things.
Yeah.
They could talk about Trump's policies. They could talk about Biden's policies. They could talk about what both campaigns need to do to win. Talk strategy. But it's just a big show. So yeah, absolutely. Donald Trump has always taken advantage, and that's why he's always responding.
Yeah, and there was more insanity at the rally in Ohio. Let's listen again.
State against Biden, in the largest margins ever. You know what was interesting? Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him? Barack Hussein Obama.
What's going on with him? Is his blood sugar low? I don't know. Okay, Jackson, I don't know if his blood sugar is low. Get him some orange juice, some of those orange crackers even with the peanut butter in them. That will help, I think. Give him some clarity, okay?
He's just
Trump,
obsessed with Obama.
You got to stop it. Obama is probably right now enjoying a bath in his Martha's Vineyard mansion, right on the water. He's not thinking about you, right? And there you are again. He then fell into his favorite role, which is victim. Listen.
Now, I'm being persecuted, I think, more than anybody, but who the hell knows? All my life, you've heard of Andrew Jackson. He was actually a great general and a very good president. They say that he was persecuted as president more than anybody else. Second was Abraham Lincoln. This is just what they said. This is in the history books. They were brutal. Andrew Jackson's wife actually died over it, they say. Died of a broken heart, but she died over it. He was never quite the same. But they say Andrew Jackson. They say Abraham Lincoln was second, but he had in all fairness, he did have a civil war. So you would think that would cause a problem, right? So you could understand it. But nobody comes close to Trump.
One of them was shot in a theater, I believe. Lingered and then died. Was shot in a theater. Am I right about that? Okay. A few more fact checks. First off, the fact that Andrew Jackson's wife died while her husband was being mistreated as president is, of course, not true. She died before he was president. Never mind the facts. Why must we keep pointing out the lies? Or perhaps he wasn't a good history student. He rewrites it all the time. I'll give you the last word on this one, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, he just says stuff. He just makes things up because, it's like, who are these people who said that? The they who said that it was Andrew Jackson first and then Abraham Lincoln, but not more than Donald Trump. Like, who quantified this? Out of the 47 presidents that we've had, 46, 47, whatever, out of all the ones that we've had, who decided that? Because this sounds like an opinion at the end of the day that many historians wouldn't necessarily arrive to the same conclusion on. But of course, at the end of it, he's the one who's more persecuted than anybody else. It's just so unfair.
It's so unfair. Privileged, elderly. I think he was probably a C student. He's never going to release the transcripts, but I can just telltale signs, okay? And by the way, I went to school with some people like him.
I think you're giving him a little too much grace with the C.
Probably. Pass, fail, he probably got a lot of Fs, okay? Mm-hmm. But it's just, it never stops with him. And I often wonder sometimes, what would happen if the other side just decided that, you know what, since there's no standards from him, we won't have any standards either. We'll just start throwing stuff out there. That would be more chaos. And I know who would get blamed, even if both sides were fully immersed in lies. One side would get blamed and Trump would probably be victorious, but it's just something that crossed my mind. Great first segment. Appreciate Jackson. Again, John is off. He's off today. Don't worry. He's around, perhaps keeping a watchful eye, and he'll be back. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll return in a little bit. The damage report. All right, some of your comments now. Appreciate you all rocking with us today. Let's see, let's get down here. Thanks for watching us. Always appreciate your support as I get down to your comments here. Okay. And don't forget to sign up. If you're not yet a member, please, we appreciate it. Great stuff for you. Moni P says, great team, yay, Sharon and Jackson. Moni, appreciate that. It's my first time.
Definitely.
Right, hosting, filling in for John, who I think is superb. I really think he's a superb host. He's just so flawless yet natural. But we can critique him later together. Moni also says, I knew he was bluffing the entire time. It's all crumbling, hilarious. Finally, it's all coming crashing down. He's probably not even paid Alina Haba. Okay, so talking about Trump, the breaking news we brought you at the top here, $464 million judgment. His lawyers have said, we don't have it, and no one will lend it to us. And so Letitia James, the Attorney General, said she is going to seize the properties next. And this is fantastic. Can you imagine? Fire sale. Okay. Creative Dragon says, Trump, yes, has finally become enough of a liability for his donors that they won't cough up the money to prop him up anymore. Well, he has installed his brilliant daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. Is it Lara or Laura? I'm not trying to be obnoxious, but there's a lot of things that run through this head. And sometimes I forget, even these household names. Is it Lara or Laura? The team will let me know. Well, anyway, his daughter-in-law is in charge of the RNC. And she says all money will go to support Trump. So, we're still waiting for the candidates down ballot to grow a spine and, I don't know, some kind of protest, revolt in some kind of way. Probably won't happen, okay? You're right, Creative Dragon. Andrew Jackson was a literal slave driver. Well, we see why he likes him then, okay? Commie poison blood vermin. We see why Trump idolizes him. You're right.
Andrew Jackson was a psycho.
Yeah, well, there's another reason, okay? There's a love affair. They would have been great friends, perhaps, had they existed in the same, time period. Who knows? Pharaoh Blue Blazer Dragon says, why stop there, Donnie? Jackson's wife didn't die of a broken heart. Clearly, she died over the outrage that you are being so mistreated. Don't let the procession of time stop your lying. Well, Pharaoh Blue, he doesn't. And he'll continue. The story will grow. He'll massage it some. And he'll go off prompter again. Don't forget the Blue Apron Award. Member for 39 months. Gabby Mathis, thank you so much. Celebrated our 31st anniversary yesterday. Very peaceful. Love to you all and love right back to you. Jackson, anything you want to say to Gabby Mathis? That was a lovely message. You specialize in bringing people information and love.
What was it, the 33rd anniversary, she said?
31st.
31st anniversary. That's a year shy of me. Congratulations. That's a very huge accomplishment.
Yes,
I mean, just across all times, it's difficult. People change over time,
Yeah.
Needs change over time. So I hope that those 31 years were more positive than anything else. But,
I do too. I do too. And thank you, Gifted 5 Damage Report membership. So kudos to you. It takes a lot to hold these relationships together. People grow apart. Look at Melania and Donald. Where is Melania? I don't know. I don't want to speak on the relationship, but where is she? Okay. Welcome back to the Damage Report. I'm Sharon Reed, in for John, and Jackson White is joining us. Paper and Politics. I love your Instagram post as well, Jackson. You know that I've told you that before because they are sometimes Well, they're insightful and creative. I'll
Just
put
a
it
little
that
provocative
way.
sometimes.
A little provocative. Sometimes it's over
Just
my
a little
head.
bit.
I'm just a mom who doesn't go out much. And sometimes I have to DM you and get the explanation, which perhaps I didn't need, but I
Sometimes you
appreciate
did,
the effort.
but I'll definitely let you know what's up, though.
I wanted you to let me know because I want to be, one of those who at least gets it, even if I'm not getting it. Let's go to Fox, okay, now. Well, let's just play it first.
Why do you use words like vermin and poisoning of the blood? The press, as you know, immediately reacts to that by saying, well, that's the kind of language that Hitler and Mussolini used.
Well, that's what they say. I didn't know that, but that's what they say. Because our country is being poisoned. Look, we have, and we can be nice about it. We can talk about, I want to be politically correct. But we have people coming in from prisons and jails, long-term murderers, people with sentences that the rest of their lives they're going to spend in some jail in some country that many people have never even heard of.
We have people who are right here, born on American soil, who still have not been held to account, who took a mugshot and made money selling T-shirts of it, okay? I digress. Does Donald Trump know the work of Hitler? Does Donald Trump appreciate the work of Hitler? Does Donald Trump know anything about Hitler? Well, it depends on which day it is. He could not have been set up better to not say what you just heard him say. Trump said he didn't know Hitler used that language, but can we just remind you that the man allegedly keeps a book of Hitler speeches on his nightstand? Who would do that? Well, he would. He would do that, okay? 1990 report, Ivana Trump told her lawyer Donald Trump kept Hitler speeches beside his bed. That's what Ivana said. Other things he notably didn't know, quote, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know who the Proud Boys are. I know nothing about QAnon, he said during an NBC town hall. Nonetheless, he refused to rule it out as false. I don't know that, and neither do you, he said. Now we know it. Associated Press with the reporting there. Here's Trump's past excuse for why he's rehashing 20th century fascist talking points. I'm not a student of Hitler. I never read his works, he said. They say that he said something about blood. He didn't say it the way I said it either, by the way. It's a very different kind of a statement. What I'm saying when I talk about people coming into our country is they are destroying our country. You could be homegrown and be destroying our country. He would know, right? He would know. Trump claims they were different meanings of poisoning. Well, were they? We'll see. One chapter of Mein Kampf, named Race and People, Hitler wrote, all the great civilizations of the past became decadent because the originally creative race died out as a result of contamination of the blood. In another passage, he links the poison which has invaded the national body to an influx of foreign blood. New York Times with the chronicling there. Trump repeating his blood poisoning comments wasn't the only flash of a dictator he showed in that interview. How about press freedom?
After the Iowa caucuses, two networks didn't carry your speech. I was very critical at the time. But you said CNN and NBC should have their licenses or whatever they have, take it away. Sounded like you were threatening to go after television outlets that was reporting you don't like.
Well, I think it's incredible. Some of them use the airwaves and some of them don't. You know, certain cable, I guess it's a little bit different.
License,
But when you're using public airwaves and you cover a candidate for months, you cover them as negatively as possible, or her, could be her. And all of a sudden, that candidate wins in a landslide, and it's very exciting, and everybody wants to watch, and you don't cover his speech. It's incredible. This is the big moment, and people want to watch it. And you say, I'm not going to put his speech on. How can you do that?
Well, because they're not able to fact check it in real time. I will answer that question because he's telling lies. Now, I guess they could run it and just put up, some kind of chyron that says fiction, expect fiction. But that too, though, Jackson, is why this powerful TYT network is so important, why independent media is so important, because if this guy gets in there again, I mean, we know what he did and tried to undermine the press, media, fake news. He coined it. There's people who you can't even ask them, what is today's date? And they'll scream in your face, fake news. We can't even agree on the date, okay? And that's why I don't even approach people. I wing it. If I'm late, I'm late. So what do you think the result of Trump? God, it just makes me itch. But I'll say it, a second term will be on a quote unquote free press.
I think that he would, raise as much hell as he possibly could, especially for people who he thinks went after him the hardest. So that would mainly be the highest profile individuals, which would take up a lot of his attention. And at the end of the day, when he says things like vermin or blood poisoning or whatever, he's just, again, continuously just trying to get reactions from people, keeping his base fed with that red meat. But I was laughing because I'm sitting here imagining Trump with this book next to his nightstand that he does not read on a nightly basis. Maybe he has a tape recorder and he follows along with his fingers or something. But the way that Mein Kampf was written is somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but basically Hitler just pacing around ranting in his jail cell and somebody writing it down. Like, Hitler's ideology is ridiculous.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't work. But Donald Trump just he still doesn't strike me as some type of ideological man. He's just a narcissistic walking mascot who cosplays as a billionaire who accidentally became president. And now he's in a whole bunch of trouble. And he's doing his best to, stay out of trouble. That's basically all this is. But unfortunately, millions of people see some type of savior in him.
If we could ever get Donald Trump confined to a jail cell, ranting, raving, what is your take on whether his work, somebody else would have to write it down, record it, I don't know, do an audio book, would it outpace Hitler's work?
I think that honestly, it wouldn't be nearly as broad. I think if Donald Trump was to do something like that, it would mostly be about himself. It would mostly be about his career and how great he is and how unfairly he's been treated. But I think that Hitler had a bit more machinations and more intelligence than Donald Trump does. Donald Trump's
big print, lots of illustration, crayons. Certain supporters who perhaps wear that red hat just to irritate the rest of us. I saw a couple in Costco the other day. I ignored them. Felt like they were following me to see if I would react to them. I was getting samples. I went up and down the aisles and I got samples and could care less, unbothered. Okay. But I hear you. I do want to switch gears because there's a blonde woman who often wears shades, perfectly coiffed hair in New York. It was about $100 million too. And he has slipped up a few times. Her lawyers are watching. They said if he continues to defame E. Jean Carroll, they'll sue again. And they'll win. They won't even have to really prove much. Just what are the damages now to get him to stop? So he has turned his attention to another accomplished blonde woman who, she's not necessarily the cup of tea of people who support this network and her father. I mean, let's get real. But Donald Trump is a problem. He does like to cyber bully women a lot. It turns him on, apparently. But because of that lawsuit and the funding issues he's having, he's paying particular attention to another target, another enemy, if you will, Liz Cheney. Yep. Posted a link to an article written by Akash Patel and said she should be prosecuted for what she has done to our country. She illegally destroyed the evidence. Unreal. This is all caps. He means it, apparently. This is in relation to Cheney allegedly suppressing evidence. The scandal blows up. Insurrection narrative. Again, this is from the Federalist. So you take it with a grain of salt. Normally, we should tell you about Donald Trump and those he supports and retweets, and the autocrats he likes, and members of the press who don't do anything but whatever he wants. This would be where we would debunk the false claims he pushes. But Cheney was quick to do it for us. They're on a first name basis. So let's throw it up. And here's what she said. Hi, Donald. You know these are lies. You have had all the grand jury and J6 transcripts for many months. You're trying to halt your January 6th trial because your VP, White House counsel, White House aides, campaign, and Department of Justice officials, et cetera, will testify against you. You're afraid of the truth, and you should be. I feel like then she went back to eating her meatloaf. For some reason, I have a vision of Liz Cheney. She's eating meatloaf, the kind with that cream. Is it barbecue or ketchup that people are putting on the top? I think she went back to eating that, some nice potatoes, and maybe had a glass of red wine. That's what I want to picture was going on. She put the phone down and she began to just eat. Maybe took a call from her father. For what it's worth, the article references a detail from Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony. The driver of the Secret Service car Trump allegedly lunged for the steering wheel. I had said that Trump never grabbed the steering wheel, and he said he didn't see him lunge to try to get into the front seat at all. But it's not true. Aren't you sick of us telling you what's not true? I want you to assume everything's in question, okay? Unless we verify it, you might have to assume it's not true. A copy of the transcript of the driver's testimony reviewed by the New York Times indicated the driver did back Hutchinson's details about Trump's insistence to join supporters the Capitol, the Hill, with the reporting there. What do you make of Liz Cheney's direct approach? Friendly? Hi, Donald. And then just setting the record straight. Do you think it gets under his skin, Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gets under his skin. Everything gets under his skin. But Donald Trump, it's like one of the funniest things about him, just with this whole situation he's in, all these felony charges and then the civil cases that he's lost, is he acts like one little thing can disprove it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then he was supposed to bring undeniable evidence into trial while he was in Judge Engoron's court, but he never did it. He just, no, never mind. I'm just not going to do it. But you'd think that given the fact that he's facing all these issues, if he had the power to exonerate himself in one foul swoop, that he would do it. But he doesn't. I mean, Liz Cheney's right. And there's plenty of criticism to go her way for her policies and her involvement. But she's right. I mean, like, what are we talking about? This is a man who has been a financial criminal his entire life. And he went into the White House and brought his habits with him. So again, it's like, oh, this one little thing from Liz Cheney somehow disproves what we all saw with our own eyes about, people running up into the Capitol and everything else that went down. So it's like, he's just, he's just going to keep being who he is.
There's something about Liz Cheney and Donald Trump that makes me think that he is frightened of her. He does not wish to come face to face with her because she is, better for worse, she's unflappable, it seems, when it comes to him and resolve. Now, I do think she wants to be president one day. Let's get our facts clear here, okay? Just like her father ran the country. Sorry, as a deputy, but we know what happened there. He ran the country, okay? He ran the country when he wasn't hunting and spraying, what was that, buckshots? His friend was sprayed. But anyway, Liz Cheney wants to be president, but I believe she has this authentic disdain and disgust for Donald Trump, who, by the way, I don't believe has given her a nickname. And I guess
he hasn't,
that's telling. No, isn't that telling?
Yeah, I can't think. Maybe because she's not scared of him, I guess.
Nah. I'd love it. If you know how someone's running to catch the elevator and you can't quite, I've only done it a couple times where I push the button to close the door and pretend we've all done it. So you look at me sideways, but I know you've all done it too. But we're trying to be better people. I picture Donald Trump not being able to press the right button, and Liz Cheney gets on, and it's just the two of them. And it's a long way. Maybe the elevator gets stopped, it stalls. Okay, where one of them would probably spring into action, the other would say, "Mommy." We know which one Trump would do. Okay. TikTok travails. Oh my goodness. Let's go.
I apologize. I did not handle this situation well from top to bottom. And that is why I have been completely roasted on this app over the last 48 hours. And I get it. If I were in your shoes, I would probably feel the same way. I would see someone who used this app to build a following and then appears to have voted against it, and I would be upset.
Well, at least there's something they can agree on, because people are hot at him. Democratic Representative Jeff Jackson, they're apologizing for voting to force the sale of TikTok. Now, his apology comes after he lost more than 100,000 of his more than 2 million followers on the platform. Following his vote, the congressman and TikTok star suggested that, well, you heard it, he screwed up. And he did, but not necessarily for the reason he thinks he did. You see, in his video, he says, quote, I genuinely believe the chance of a ban is practically zero for a lot of reasons. Financial, political, geopolitical. I just don't think there's any real chance of a ban, he said. I still believe that, but maybe I got the balance wrong. The New York Post. And so this is exactly the problem. Forcing TikTok to be sold doesn't mean that it's going to be sold to someone good, right? Let's just get it out of the hands of any relationship to the Chinese government and then all will be solved. Really? Not if the guy who announced he's putting a group together gets his hand. Is this what you want? The Treasury Secretary under Trump, Steve Mnuchin? Listen to him.
I had President Trump sign an order that TikTok had to be sold. And I continue to believe that. So I think the legislation should pass. And I think it should be sold. I understand the technology. It's a great business. And I'm going to put together a group to buy TikTok.
Have you already put a group together?
Yeah, well, I'm working on it.
You're exploring a group.
I've spoken to a bunch of people, but
who would be part of your group?
I can't tell that to you now, but it would be a combination of investors. So there would be no one investor that controlled this.
It'd be a combination of people. I know nothing, but this is my gut. And I'm a reporter, I can have a gut. It'll be a combination of people we don't like and we are skeptical of. And perhaps people who support a position that is anti-democracy. Again, this is my opinion, my gut. Don't blame the network if the names are revealed and, Congress doesn't do what it's supposed to do and have proper oversight. Let's go to Mehdi Hassan, okay? Because he summed it up beautifully, I think, the situation here. To be clear, if Mnuchin gets TikTok and Musk has Twitter, that's two of the most influential messaging platforms on the planet in the hands of MAGA and their allies. In an election year, wake up, hello. And with both purchases done on a Democratic White House and Senate watch. Okay, I don't know much about technology. Okay, I just learned the difference between posting a story on Instagram and then just the regular post that lives. And I wondered, why is this disappearing after a short time? Okay, I just caught up. This is just not what I do. And I know this is a bad idea. Jackson, Mehdi Hassan is right. Election year, conservative, MAGA, which means that you actually believe you're anti-democracy in many regards. Not everybody, but a lot of people support this lie. And I can't imagine if it falls into the hands of Steve Mnuchin, who wants that money and who has the visibility. I can't imagine that being a good thing in any way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've been saying since this topic's been a discussion is that it's not going to happen and that it's too late. If TikTok was going to be sold or if there was going to be some type of a ban, then it would have needed to have happened sometime around the inception or sometime around when TikTok first started to really blow up. But now it's just too big. There's too many people on it. And it's too large of a part of the economy and too just the way that people exchange information back and forth. So it's just like, it was never really tangibly going to go down. And politically, it's not something that you really want to draw attention to your administration for, because a lot of people would see this and not necessarily know, like, oh, that ain't gonna happen. A lot of people would see that and think, oh no, TikTok's going to be banned. You can't blame them for thinking that. It's not that they're dumb or anything. It's just that it's a news highlight and they're seeing it. So, but it all around, it was just a very good reflection of the fact that the Democratic Party at large just really isn't good at politics. But also, all for what? For something that he just admitted it's not going to happen anyway. So there's a lot of other stuff to say about it, including the issue is security. We got all our data going all over the place as it is.
Thank you.
So if we're going to address it along those lines, then we got to talk about the entire problem.
So, they haven't done that, right? They've had ample opportunity, but haven't done that. You have others circling, the Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, who's not exactly pledged an oath to MAGA, but it's kind of, listen, Mr. Wonderful, he's the opposite. He's like a devil
FTX.
investor, not an angel investor. Okay, it's just, and he kind of admits it. Here's what he said after the fraud case that Trump lost with E. Jean Carroll, quote, "It's a rogue judge. In my view, that's a rogue settlement and should be repealed. And it will be through the appellate courts. Seizing assets happens in many countries where you wouldn't want to put your money." Thank you, but you're not an attorney, Kevin. Okay, and you're not a woman, so sit down, sit down. This is the Damage Report. Jackson White is our special co-host today. I'm Sharon Reed, in for John. Appreciate him letting us sit in the seat. Much more to come. All right, you all are very active. We appreciate you, Sharon Reed, alongside Jackson White on the Damage Report today, in for John. Lynn, TYT member, has this to say: what's worse than Trump talking about the poison entering our country is the applause he receives for such statements. Yes, Lynn. And I think when you have a disgruntled, privileged bum mentality at the top, forget about him. It's expected. We shouldn't be shocked. But these are your fellow Americans. I told you, I walk in my neighborhood and I don't know who's doing what, but I look at my neighbors, corner of my eyes sometimes, and I think, yep, I bet I know who you voted for. That's the kind of feelings it stirs up in us when you have people who are supporting this racism, misogyny, this unfair economic raping of the electorate. Okay, I use the word rape in relation to money, and we're talking about Trump here. Okay, he's doing a lot in a lot of ways. It's very, very dangerous. So yes, Lynn, why clap so loudly? Why are you on your feet? 36 Chambers Dragon, Mountain Dragon. Late to the party, but so great to see Sharon taking the reins as John gets some much needed time off. New father, okay? I wonder if he's getting enough sleep lately. He seems to be performing at a high level, but I remember that time, it wasn't that long ago, even though my daughter's 12 now. I'll never forget being sleep deprived. TYT hosts are the best. This is a great duo to help us get through the tough news. Keep up the great work, best community and host on the net. Now that is a proof of performance that needs to be pushed out everywhere. Okay, because there's a standard at this network, I can tell you, when I joined this incredible party here, that I was amazed at. The protocols, the free thinking that's allowed and not policed, and of course, the greatest community that's you. So I love it. And thank you, Mountain Dragon. That's very kind of you. Very kind of you. Let's see. Kevin Bard, good combo. Sharon and Jackson. I haven't heard people call you Snackson lately. Have you rejected it? Have you rejected it, or you're okay still?
Oh no, it still works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You probably just haven't. You probably just didn't read a comment where it said that.
Okay. It's probably coming.
Yeah.
Wayne Wright says, when 30 underwriters are refusing to touch you with a 28-foot barge pole, enough said, no more delays, no more second chances. Okay, so what Wayne is saying is run them coins. Okay, Zell her tonight. Zell the state of New York for $500 million. Moving death. I dare you to go to work and talk like Donald Trump, treat women like Donald Trump, call your coworkers mean nicknames, see what happens to you. Do not try this at home unless you want to quit anyway. And then, I don't know, go out in a blaze of glory, I guess. Okay. If you have something lined up and you're so inclined, go ahead. One more for you. Fritz Jacques, thank you for your contribution. You all are very generous too. Sharon, you just described my lunch. Meat loaf. Oh, you just described my lunch. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a glass of Merlot. Okay. That had to be scary as she's eating it. I'm saying this. Oh, she says she loves you, Snackson.
There you go. You caught it.
Okay, welcome back to the Damage Report. Sharon Reed alongside Jackson White, in for John today. Thank you, John, for letting us sit in the chair. Thank you for your comments. Always appreciate those. Big fans of Jackson, huh? Or Snackson, as he's been referred to, and he doesn't mind, so I can say that. We're gonna move on. Defeat, retreat. Infighting much?
It is depressing when you have your own team turning on each other because you don't win when that happens. Teams win. And we've undermined the norms of what we've had going back really a couple centuries, frankly. Now we're campaigning in each other's districts. That undermines the team. So I think it's wrong.
We're not going to get much involved in their stuff. They shouldn't get involved in ours.
That's not a healthy situation when you start targeting other members.
Brothers and sisters fighting. Sometimes it happens in families. Hopefully cooler heads prevail. Usually happens fighting over a state or something. In this case, they are brothers and sisters in MAGA. Okay, they've all pledged their support. Most of them, almost all. House Republicans who have seen their time in the majority devolve into a seemingly endless series of internal party feuds have another issue set to lead them to more intra-party fighting. As you heard, some of those reps say GOP representatives are targeting other sitting Republicans in primaries across the country. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. Seeking to tamp down the infighting, Speaker Johnson said this to CNN while at their disastrous retreat. I am vehemently opposed to member-on-member action. I don't know if I would have phrased it that way. And that's just me. In primaries because it's not productive and it causes division for obvious reasons. And we should not be engaging in that. So I'm telling everyone who's doing that to knock it off. Now, if he said that during the retreat, again, this is just my mind wandering. I picture he turned around, and marched away from the microphone after telling off his members, you better stop it. And about 6 spitballs hit him in the back of the head. Okay, I don't think it's going to work. I don't really respect him. 1 vote, he's out, right? It does seem reasonable though, but Matt Gaetz, here he is again, said otherwise, quoting, I would love nothing more than to just go after Democrats. Gaetz, who led the charge to oust McCarthy, told CNN. But if Republicans are going to dress up like Democrats in drag, there you go again. Why are you going after the drag community, Gaetz? I'm going to go after them too. Because at the end of the day, we're not judged on how many Republicans we have in Congress. We're judged on whether or not we saved the country. That was a mouthful of garbage. Okay. Jackson, is Speaker Johnson a joke? Can anyone have control and get the party in line? And should Matt Gaetz have even uttered the word drag? Go ahead.
I mean, Matt Gaetz is gonna do what he does. I think in the scheme of things, that's light compared to what he said and what he's done. But when it comes to Mike Johnson, no, I don't think he's some type of a strong leader. He's not somebody who can whip the GOP into shape. But the reality is that other than a couple of people, the GOP is pretty much homogenous and in line and strictly behind Donald Trump. You look at the primary results, here and there, you'll see like 20 to 30% gaps in support. You'll see Donald Trump underperforming at the polls. But overall, there's really been no evidence of people really trying to break away from him. Nikki Haley fought kind of the toughest against him. But that was barely anything at all. She was really hardly willing to actually go after him in a way that could make him look like, this guy really isn't the one for the job.
True.
So, it's like, what's the message really here being said? It's that just, blindly follow Trump. That's all I'm seeing when I see stuff like this. Just get behind Trump and shut up.
Yeah. And you're right. Nikki Haley graded on a curve. Okay. She barely did it the honest way. And by the way, we talked about how she didn't understand slavery or pretended not to be, which is even worse. Gates, in the meantime, the same day as the GOP retreat, Gates rallied with Representative Tony Gonzalez's opponent in Texas. What did Gonzalez do that's dressing up like Democrats in drag? He backed the relatively weak gun safety law that was passed following Uvalde. That was his crime. Gates' beef with Gonzalez, his vote in 2022 for gun safety law that was enacted in the wake of the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, which is part of Gonzalez's district. Herrera, gun rights activist, has seized on that vote in his campaign to oust Gonzalez in the runoff. Who the hell are we? Some of us. Gonzalez also voted for the immigration bill Trump killed and the 2022 bill codifying same-sex marriage, neither of which were popular in his conference. And it's not even just Matt Gaetz. Yeah. The fight is exposing divisions in the Texas delegation as well. Chip Roy, who battled behind the scenes with Gonzalez last year before they ultimately settled on a GOP immigration plan that passed the House, wouldn't say if he'd back Gonzalez. Look, I haven't gotten into any of that at this point, Roy said. Well, you know what, Roy, get into it. You should get into it. I'll give you the last word, Jackson.
Yeah, and then what is their dissent? What does it come from? It's not, we should pay people more. We should hold corporate America more accountable. It's, it's the belief that gay people are okay and decent. It's stuff like that. It's like, oh no, you support gay marriage. I don't know about you now. So it's how can we keep the right wing the most extreme and the most authoritarian in this country? So it's wherever there's dissent, it doesn't make sense. At least on the Democratic side, when there's dissent, it's for things like, making healthcare more accessible, calling for a ceasefire, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's this antiquated dum-dum stuff. It's kind of goofy. It's shenanigans, and it's not really very good. It's not really very energizing for the electorate, okay? It's like they're playing for the other team. And maybe someone should investigate that. Are you secretly playing for the other team? Maybe. Maybe you're undercover, okay? A la CIA. I don't know. We thank you so much for your support, for watching, for spreading the word, and for commenting, okay? We appreciate you, Jackson. Again, for those who aren't joining us for the after show here, tell people how they can get your great content.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow me on YouTube at Politics and Paper, youtube.com/@politicsandpaper. I'm going to be making a strong effort to showcase state and local politics because there's a lot going on out here. So, in fact, there is a lot going on. So, again, Politics and Paper on YouTube. Check me out.
And if there's another single mom out there who doesn't quite understand the context of some of your more provocative posts, will you also DM and explain?
Yes, I'm available. Yeah, just hit me up. I can help you understand the provocation.
I will leave it right there. Thanks for watching The Damage Report. We'll hope you will stay with us. We're right back. Welcome to the Aftermath. I'm Sharon Reed, and for John today, had a great show, Damage Report. And Jackson White is part of the reason why it was so enlightening and entertaining too. Jackson, thank you for staying with us. Love politics and paper and everything else you have going on. I know you had a good interview. That's what I like about you. You present information that we can use, that's current, that's timely, and sometimes aggressive. So tell us a little bit about your interview of late.
Oh yeah, on the other day, I think I'm so busy, I don't even remember exactly what day.
Sure you
it was.
are.
Sometime a few days ago, I interviewed a candidate out of Washington State. Her name's Annie Fitzgerald. It went really well. We spoke for about an hour and a half about improving disability rights, also improving unions within the state to kind of help better protect disabled workers. And also we got spoke in depth about how health insurance covers disability issues. So like one of the examples was like how wheelchairs are charged part by part and things like that. So it was a really interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of that at Politics.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds empowering on behalf of the people. Your interview now means Trump will go after you and the representative if he gets elected again. So watch your back. One of his biggest supporters, MTG. I believe she is vying to become one of the most prolific fictional writers of our time. And she is putting up installment after installment so that she perhaps gets the crown. Her latest installment, she's pushing lies about abortion again. Here's the post on X. Some people you don't know who's writing their social media posts. I know she wrote this, okay? March 2022, pro-life activists tragically discovered the remains of aborted babies being discarded from the Planned Parenthood in Washington, D.C. 5 of the babies were second and third trimester premature infants who appeared to have been born alive and then murdered. That is a hell of a charge. This image, which I didn't include, some of the 110 first trimester children killed. This Tuesday, I'm holding a hearing on investigating the black market baby organ harvesting. Okay. As I was reading that, I don't know why, but it was full of so many lies that I kept thinking after each sentence, I was going to get zapped. You know what I mean? I felt like I could hear it. I'm just quoting what MTG posted. Other people, they checked her though. Several commenters on X called out the far-right congresswoman for sensationalist fiction, lying and fear-mongering, no recognition of truth in her post. Huffington Post chronicling the outrage here. So let's just take you through some of them. Don't read it all, but I'll take you through what people are posting about Marjorie Taylor Greene's latest efforts. Basically, they're saying you're just a liar. Shut up and sit down. Okay, there. There it is. People instantly pounced. They brought receipts and said, are you for real? Really? It's very easy to debunk this stuff. You have no recognition of truth in your post. The fetuses did not come from Planned Parenthood. They came from a medical waste facility. The medical waste facility said, we didn't hand over anything. We didn't do this. Okay, you see, they go through it line by line. Some of them were longer than that, okay? Evidence-based pushback. We should tell you a little background. Abortion opponent Lauren Handy was found to possess 5 aborted fetuses in her apartment when police arrived in 2022. The day after, she was charged with blockading a Washington, D.C. abortion clinic 2 years prior. She and others were convicted in August 2023. Now, she and fellow activist Teresa Bukonovic claimed the 5 were among 115 fetuses given to them by the driver of a medical waste truck. This is what I'm talking about. They claim they buried 110 of them with a priest present at an undisclosed location, but kept the remaining 5 to prove that illegal procedures were used to abort them. Police, however, determined the abortions were legally conducted, and the waste truck company, again, they denied Handy's account. As for Greene's investigation into the so-called black market of baby organ harvesting, Democrats on the Oversight and Accountability Committee have pushed back against such unproven allegations in a pair of videos they were refuting the specific claims against Planned Parenthood. It is a full-time job to push so many lies. What happened to just agreeing to disagree, being on opposite ends of an issue, making your points based on truth? You don't believe in abortion, don't get one. Okay, you don't want to support it? Okay. The lies, though. Is she on pace, as I said at the top, Jackson, to become our most prolific fictional writer ever?
Perhaps definitely one of the top 5. She's definitely up there. She may have some competition, but she's quickly risen in the ranks. So maybe she definitely has the record there. But first, I gotta say, I mean, with 5 fetuses, that's really creepy and weird. Like that's what some type of shrine or something, like some type of weird ritualistic shrine. I don't know, but go figure that she was a super opponent of it. I can't speak for MTG, and I don't know her medical history, but I would be somewhat surprised if she's never gotten an abortion. And the only reason I say that is because she's sexually active. Like that tends to happen. I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but like it's kind of common that women may have gotten one abortion throughout their lives because, when people have sex, people get pregnant sometimes. So, and the endless irony of people who are very against abortion, if they get pregnant, now, a lot of people will actually have the baby. There are people who don't believe in it, but they aren't necessarily on the front lines trying to take it away from everybody else. So if they get an abortion, then, well, it's because I wasn't ready. But those other people, those Black women and the Latinas and whatever else, they just use abortion as birth control. They don't even care. And that's kind of how they see it. So that's how they separate themselves and rationalize their own BS.
Yeah, women get abortions for many, they're valid reasons: family planning, rape, okay? Just not wanting to become a mother. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you commented on her sexual prowess. I don't know. And I don't want you to paint that picture again. Because I just don't do it. You understand?
I got you.
And I don't know. I don't want to comment on whether she did or she didn't. I want her to stay out of other people's reproductive rights. That's what I would ask her to do. And, I'll ask it, but she's not. She's going to continue to write her. The only reason she's not going to be the most prolific fictional writer of our time is because of the word count. Big print, short stories. Okay? So that's going to get her out of the running. But the fiction part, she has down pat.
We'll move on. Haikus.
That's right. Haikus. Yeah. That's all right. That's right. Because it doesn't exactly. In this America, there's some in MAGA world who say, you know what? I should be able to serve who I wish to serve. And you don't get to tell me who that is. It's going to be aligned with my beliefs. And it seems that they're allowed to do this. You don't want to serve gay people. You don't want to serve somebody who walks in with a Black Lives Matter shirt. You don't have to, right? That is what they believe. So I wonder how they'll feel about this. A bar owner doesn't want to serve MAGA. That's the proclamation. Milwaukee bar owner plans to temporarily close during the Republican National Convention this summer to avoid serving supporters of former President Donald Trump. What's fair is fair, no? Ricky Ramirez, the owner of the mothership, is known for lighthearted insults to their patrons. They posted this in regards to the RNC. Let's throw it up. Mothership says, "Sup, idiots? We haven't lost a lot of followers in a while, so here we go." As everything gets amplified with like the RNC show coming to town, laugh my ass off. I would like to formally state that we are shutting the bar down during the week because that noise. I'm not trying to get involved with or actively take money or rent the space out to that tomfoolery. However, if anyone wants the bar for private event, wedding reception, wet t-shirt contest, I don't know, whatever private people want to party about, do hit up our DMs for free to dirt cheap prices. We'll blanket do anything for money except be a part of that show. Laugh my ass off. Anyway, for today, I am becoming bartender maker of a party for happy hour and sexy ass Sam is shutting her down. And then he invites people to come to the establishment. And that's as far as I'm going to go. You understand? But a bar owner's allowed to do what a bar owner wants to do. Talk to Rolling Stone about the decision. Let's see what he had to say. Ramirez says that as a child of first-generation immigrants living in a city that remains heavily segregated, he grew up with a, quote, kind of chip on my shoulder regarding discrimination. With the Republican Party having wholeheartedly embraced nativist policies, racist conspiracy theories, and a politics of antagonism against marginalized communities, Ramirez feels that, quote, if there's an influx of those kinds of people, then I'd rather just be closed. About sums it up. But there's more. Loves the F word, and I don't mind it, okay? I don't effing care who comes into my bar on the norm, but it's such a heightened event where people are very proudly going to be confirming that Donald Trump's the nominee for the party again for Wisconsin politics. It's like one of those, girl, you need to worry about yourself moments, he says. During election time, we'll have to make sure that our parties go and vote, but we've had enough happen because of the political divide, and I don't really care about the Republican National Party coming here to confirm him as the nominee. That's not our biggest problem. Now, Ramirez says this, he's heard from other bars and establishments who might quietly close during the RNC. Can you imagine a dry after party? Okay, because look, a lot of Republicans want to police other people. Do you understand? They get real crunk. Jackson, you know that. When Republicans party, coloring outside the lines is an understatement, no?
Oh, yeah. Climbing on top of stoplights, burning, kicking cars, all types of stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
Goes down. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's his establishment and he can shut it down if he'd like to. I mean, he could shut it down if he was sick one day or if for whatever reason, and it's just one bar. So for anybody who may be on the right and want to stand on principle, then this is an American right. But also, it just really goes to show how toxic of a brand MAGA really is. People don't really want to be associated with it. They just don't. It's not worth it. Not only because of what it represents today, but also because, the world's going to move on from this. It may take some time, but the world will move on from this. And people don't want to be remembered as, those guys or those gals who were all gung-ho about Donald Trump, because it's just not going to age well. So this is the bed that the Trump supporters have made for themselves.
Bed. Listen, not even for the money. Some people don't even want your money. Ramirez says he's heard from other bars, as we told you, quote, I don't know if people are going to be that outwardly open. I know some people are going to close for maintenance and stuff like that. There are a lot of people who are afraid of the backlash. Conservatives not happy about this. They're already calling for a Bud Light type boycott. But Ramirez is defiant. Final remarks: when we made our comments about the George Floyd protests in Milwaukee and whatnot, and we made vocal what we felt about the whole thing, we just started getting bombed on Yelp. 1-star reviews from people who've never been there. And it's just like, we see you guys. We're going to be fine no matter what you put on the internet about us. Unbothered. If Unbothered was a bar owner. We'll move on. Tucker Carlson fancies himself an investigative journalist. He interviewed Putin, right? I don't quite remember everything he asked, but I think it was like, what's your favorite barbecue sauce? And
he got made fun of.
Yes, it was laughable. Okay, it was laughable. Even Putin, I think, made fun of him. Putin made fun of him.
That's what I was talking about. Putin was sitting there making fun of him. It was like, and Putin said he thought that Tucker would ask him more tough questions.
Yeah, well, Tucker is, I don't understand it, but he's getting some of these interviews. Chris Cuomo sat down with him, which was weird. But this time it's about Tucker being on royal watch, if you will.
Are the media so hungry for royal news that they'd interview anyone who claimed to know something about Kate and her famous photo? How carefully would they check? One globally famous journalist is Tucker Carlson, who, having been fired by Fox News, has interviewed Putin and covered some really important stories.
And there's also a plus-sized, obese purple M&M, so we're going to cover that.
Just how desperate would he be for a global exclusive? To put this to the test, I sent him an email claiming that Archie was Kaiten Williams' digital content creator, who had been fired for photoshopping the image so badly people saw it was fake.
All it took was an email. That's all. Tucker Carlson likes to pretend he's a real journalist and does his research, but he was just duped by a bunch of YouTubers who pretended to be a royal whistleblower who was going to provide the real story of what's going on with Kate Middleton. Now, it is quite bizarre, this she'll one day be queen woman and her whereabouts after surgery. Let's give you some background in case you missed it. Internet has exploded over conspiracies of where Kate Middleton is after the palace announced she was undergoing abdominal surgery. Hasn't been seen publicly since December. It's March, correct? As an attempt to squash the rumors, the family posted a Mother's Day photo that was quickly removed from news sites as it was confirmed to have been altered in a significant way. There's that photo. So this brings us to Tucker. British YouTubers Josh and Archie duped him into interviewing a fake Kensington Palace whistleblower who was prepared to dish the dirt on the doctored image. Duo talked to the head booker of Tucker's show. Okay. Booker asked for proof he worked with the royal family. Here's that part of the video.
I was working for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge as they were then, and the Princess and Princess of Wales. We all work out of KP at Kensington Palace.
You'll be able to send us like the original, and then also like so we did bring you on, like you can show the original verse. Yep. Do you have like proof of your working there, all that stuff? That's not because I don't believe you. We have to ask it for every single person.
Of course.
I got to do a Photoshop to re-edit the previously edited image of Kate to make it look like it was unedited. I removed Kate's left hand, fiddled with a 5-year-old Louis waistband, added a rugby ball, and then made it look like this photo was taken in December by adding a Christmas tree. This would be our unedited and original family photo.
In this fake engagement letter, I have to put some things in, things that are so ridiculous that Tucker Carlson's people read this. Why on earth did they let you on the show? They must have known that this was a joke. Number 9.3 I've added in, which I think is actually quite important. It states that if you fail your probationary period, the company retains the right to amputate one limb of their choosing.
If your pre-production meeting was called How to Be Stupid, okay? The fake resume, the photo worked to trick Tucker's team. Let's go to the interview.
Incredibly, Archie and all of his limbs were in the studio, moments away from speaking to Tucker Carlson. Surely he'd spot something was up and call off the interview.
Turns out the picture was not entirely real. The question is why? And tell us, and we've done our best to verify that your identity is what you say it is. We're not a fake Navalny, we're not being prank, or I can say the
And 3, 2, phony. It's a game, okay? And you've been duped. They didn't even try that hard, okay? Would have been rejected by crank anchors. Remember that show?
Yeah.
That was a funny show where you could call up, they prank people. And these people would have these conversations, get all out of sorts. Quickly, Jackson, is Tucker just not, okay, we know he's not a journalist, but is he also a bad actor, unenthused? And should the intern be fired?
I think he's just, Tucker Carlson's just rich and lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a padded.
Lucky, I say privileged. Okay.
Yeah, rich and privileged, you know, that's even better, actually. That's actually a better word than lucky. He's rich and privileged. And it's so obvious, and it's always been obvious, that he's not talented, he's not interesting. There's really nothing in particular that sticks out about him, not even his personality. You know, Tucker Carlson doesn't, I don't think, have that much true drive in him because he doesn't need it. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, he could do whatever he wants for the rest of his life, but I don't think he's going to keep doing this for very much longer.
Nah.
I could be wrong.
He had a shirt and tie on, jacket up top, guarantee tighty whities below. He's not even, I guarantee he wasn't even fully dressed for the interview. And I'm someone who enjoys doing that. Today I'm fully dressed. He does not care. My thing is, he's such a fool. This is foolishness that he's pumping out. Why not try to broker a deal with Comedy Central? Why not move over to a platform where it is about games and, fake farts, that thing that you sit on, the cushion,
whoopee cushion.
that thing. Why not just do that and celebrate what you're good at? If you're going to be lazy and wrong, let's make a joke of it. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. Jackson, again, we'll be following you on Paper and Politics and everywhere else. I do want you to watch your back because you're putting out some pretty real stuff. And if someone infests the White House again, well, you'll want to be careful.
I'll do my best. I might move to Colombia or something. I'll be all right.
Okay. Well, do tell. I may have a friend or two down there I'd like to introduce you to. Jackson White, thank you. I'm Sharon Reed in for John today. The Aftermath. Don't forget, keep supporting the Damage Report. And always, TYT, we appreciate our wonderful members.